A very warm welcome to you all. I am Vijay Sir. I am the faculty of history here at L2A. As you can see from the board that today we are going to deal with Ashokan inscriptions. And welcome to this lecture series as we have been dealing with the sources of ancient Indian history, and we were talking about inscriptions in my last 2-3 videos. So now we will specifically look at what are Ashokan inscriptions, how they have been deciphered, and how can they attribute it to King Ashoka or the Ashokan emperor of the Mauryan dynasty, and then what are its natures, its geographical spread, as well as the language used in the inscriptions. So I'll just give you a broad overview on Ashokan inscriptions, and when we take up the Mauryan Empire, when we deal with the chapter on Mauryan Empire, we will talk in depth about each and every inscription, what are its significance. Okay, let us start. So, as you all know that in my previous classes, I told you that Charles Wilkins was the one who has deciphered the Ashokan inscription, especially the Brahmi language. He was the one, Charles Wilkins. So as he know Greek, so he was a multilinguist. He worked in the mints of Benares. So he was able to, as he knew Greek language, classical Greek language, so he was able to study the bilingual coins issued by the Indo-Greeks. The post-Mauryan kings are known as the Indo-Greeks, the who come from the west, Indo-Greeks. Menander, Apollodotus, So initially they issued the bilingual coins on one side of the coin it was on Greece, and the other side it was Kharoshthi. And that is the time they were we can able to attribute to individual kings also. So later kings of the Indo-Greeks also issued coins on Greek and Brahmi scripts. That is where he was able to study the characters, alphabets of the Kharoshthi. So Charles Wilkins thus deciphered the Kharoshthi, and later on also he was able to decipher through Greek, then Kharoshthi, then through the Brahmi he was able to decipher the Brahmi scripts. So, and other scholars also gained lot of interest in deciphering the Brahmi script based on the framework or the early decipherment of the Charles Wilkins. So he found out that there was this one common name being used on in the scripts, and which are very much similar. So what did he notice? He noticed that it is mentioned as Devanam Piya Piyadasi. Devanam Piya Devanam Piya Piyadas. So he was able to see that similarities are occurring in Rajulam Mandagiri, then in Nittur, Rudugolam, Maski, Gujjara, and also in Kandar bilingual edicts. So when he was able to identify who was this person, so he knew that this was one and the same person. So then what did he do? He also referred to the Siloni chronicles like Dipavansha, Mahavansha and Ashokavadana, and he saw that with corroborating with other literary sources, that is Sri Lankan chronicles on Buddhism, so he was able to decipher that he is known as Ashoka Raja of the Mauryan dynasty, Mauryan Empire, and this was also done by his contemporary Sir William Jones. William Jones. So he was the one who has established the Asiatic Society of Bengal in 1784, and he was also a multilinguist who translated, the code of Gentoo laws and Abhignana Shakuntalam, and he was the one who is equated, that the Vedic Aryan language has its roots, it must have come from the same common ancestry of the Indo-European origin, and it is also much similar to Greek and Latin languages. So he is the one who propagated, and given that he equated the Devanam Piya Piyadasi who is nothing but he is Ashoka Raja, or the great Ashoka the Great. Okay, so that is how he has been equated with Ashoka and the Ashoka of the Mauryan Empire. Okay, so now the periodization of the Ashokan inscription. So if you look at the chronology, we all know that the Chandragupta Maurya has established the Mauryan Empire by dethroning the last Nanda ruler, that is Dhanananda, in 321 BCE. 321 BCE, and after Chandragupta Maurya, his son Bindusara has ascended the throne. And in third in line of the Mauryan dynasty is Ashoka, who came to be coronated in 268 to 232 BCE. So, in this period, for only about 9 years, he has, from the 9 years of his reign, we know of his administration of inscribing the inscriptions on boulders, pillars, and small minor rocks. So that is how this is the periodicity, between 262 to 232 BCE is the periodization. So now let us look at what is the kind of languages that has been used in these inscriptions. Or Naito, we'll first take what are the different kinds of inscriptions, then we will go into the language, that becomes easier for you to understand. So if you let us discuss about major rock edicts. Major rock edicts are 14 in number. So it is not that it is one edict means, just to understand what is an edict, here it becomes very much important, because those people, those students who are not from the history background, or even for that matter for most of them, edicts becomes very confusing. What are edicts, what are inscriptions, what are 14 major rock edicts, what are 7 minor pillar edicts, all those things become very cumbersome, lot of memory, you need to have a lot of good memory to remember all those inscriptions, what are they written on and where are they located. So we'll just try to, we will try to simplify this for you. Okay. So these edicts are nothing but messages in simple terms. Messages in a layman's terminology. If you wanted to be more formal, they become proclamations. और हिंदी में आपको इसको समझना है, then they become घोषणा. So Ashoka, through his rock edicts, he wanted to communicate to his subjects or the people inhabiting his vast empire, the Mauryan Empire. So he wanted to communicate to his subjects. So Ghoshana means inscriptions or messages. So isme then he used different methods, like they were inscribed on major rocks or the boulders, major rock faces of the boulders, and install them in different parts of the Indian subcontinent. So, in the category, the first category, we talk about the major rock edicts. Okay, so these major rock edicts are located in places where it is at the periphery of his empire, the great Mauryan Empire. So, if you look at it from the, especially the eastern side of here, they are located in Dhauli and Jaugada in the present day Odisha, because it is very important here, because Dhauli and Jaugada inscription, especially the major rock edict, he talks about remorse of the Kalinga war. He talks about the Prayaschit, because he waged a very violent war towards the region of Kalinga, where 100,000 people have been killed and 150,000 prisoners of war were taken back to Pataliputra, and many more have been perished or suffered due to war. So, he felt some kind of a reflection, internal reflection, and he felt, very sad about the suffering, and he showed his leniency towards, he was lean towards the Buddhist Dhamma, or the practice, Buddhist Sangha or the Dhamma. So, this becomes very important, the Dhauli and Jaugada. Okay, it is in the eastern coast in present day Odisha. So, in the down south, if you look at it, it is Sannati in Karnataka, and it is also the bordering area beyond these fringes, or the tribal people or the tribal principalities. And if you look at in the western part, this is located, one is a stone is located, major rock edict is also located in Sapora and Girnar in Gujarat. And if you look at it, there is this Kalsi in present day near Chakrata in Himachal Pradesh, and further west you find Manshera and Shahbazgari in the Pakhtunkhwa area in present day Pakistan, and also to the far west is the Kandahar Edict. So, barring Kandahar, Manshera and Shahbazgari, the language here Ashoka used is Prakrit language and Brahmi script. Prakrit and Brahmi script has been used in Kalsi, in Dhauli, in Jaugada, in Sannati, Sapoda, Girnar. In Shahbazgari and Mansehra, which is now present located in Pakistan, he used Prakrit language plus Kharoshthi script. Prakrit plus Kharoshthi script. Kharoshthi script is has its ancient origins in the Aramaic language, and especially in Kandahar, if you look at the Kandahar edicts, they are bilingual edicts. It is written in the Greek and Aramaic language as well as scripts. Greek and Aramaic. So, these are the languages and the places where this major rock edicts are found, and the scripts and the language also we have mentioned. So, why he has installed this inscriptions in the periphery area? Because he wanted to communicate to a diverse group of people living in his kingdom. Especially if you look at the northwestern part of it, you have the Greeks, the Indo-Greeks, because not the Indo-Greeks, you have the Hellenistic influence, because Alexander have occupied the Persian Empire or the Achaemenid Empire in 326 BCE, and he occupied the Bahilica or the Bactria part of it. So there was the Greek influence, and there were also the Achaemenidian people living in over there, and there were this, due to the trade relationship, even the Indians were there. So that is one thing. The second thing is multiple religions existed during the Ashokan period. We have Brahmins on one side, we have the Buddhists, we have the Jains, and other heterodox sects like Ajivikas. So there are many, kinds of various sects, including the Brahmanical religion, the Buddhist Sanghas, the Jains, the Ajivikas, and others. So that is one thing. So then you have the Kalinga, and also you have some forest principalities here on the peripheries. So he wanted to communicate this message or the royal order or the royal decrees, what we call, because when we deal with the Ashokan inscriptions, they fall under the category of royal decrees. Or Shashan or Goshna. So he wanted to communicate that. Then the second kind of inscriptions are the pillar inscriptions. The dot जहाँ जहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो, they are located in the core area, the core empire of the Mauryan Empire. Here, if you look at it, this is the core area. So it is located in and around Bihar, in eastern Uttar Pradesh, and even on the fringes of the Indo-Nepal border, and up to the Delhi, especially in Topra in Haryana and Meerut. So one interesting fact is to know here is that the Firoz Shah in 14th century identified this Delhi Topra inscription. So when he was on a hunting trip, so he asked his pandits, can you decipher them? Then they were unable to do so, and they said so many stories about Vikramaditya. They might belong to some Vikramaditya of the legends. So, but anyway, looking at the importance of it, Firoz Shah Tughlaq has asked his people to carry it to Delhi. So now it is, Delhi and Meerut inscriptions are now located in the ridge areas of, one is located in the Firoz Shah Kotla in Delhi, and the other is in the ridge area, which is very nearby to ORN. So we know about that. Then then you have the Romandai and Lauria, Nandangarh and Araria, which is on the Nagla Sagar, which is in the Nepal area, which is very important because the Remundai pillar inscription or the Remundai pillar and the Nagla Sagar inscription, which are located in the Nepal, attribute the birth of the Buddha, and also Ashoka has asked his administration not to collect taxes because it was the birthplace, and he also promoted, the pilgrimage to the Buddhist sites. So he himself, he mentions that he himself visited the Lumbini in his region. So here the language that he uses in all the pillar inscriptions is Prakrit plus Brahmi language. Prakrit and Brahmi scripts. Okay. So then you have another category of inscription known as minor rock edicts, which are present day located in the bordering areas of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, and also two in Madhya Pradesh, one is Gujarat and Bharat. And so this three in the MP, and the rest are in the Karnataka and Andhra border. So it is very interesting to know here that these are the, here he mentions his name Ashoka Raja to a greater extent, or the Devanampiya Piyadasi Ashoka. Okay. So here he has done some kind of an experimentation with the language is Prakrit, but he has used some variations in Brahmi, especially the Rajula Mandaguri, which is located in the border of Karnataka, Andhra and Tamil Nadu. He has used some kind of a Tamil Brahmi script where the local people also can understand. So here Ashoka Raja is known as Ashochan. Ashochan. Okay. Here in the Kandar bilingual edict, it is a bilingual Greek and Aramaic script. He is known as Piyadasis. In Musky, he is known as Ashoka Raja. Devanam Piya Pedasi, Ashoka Raja. In other places, you use just Ashoka or Ashoka Raja. So, these are the reflections, his personal reflections are can generally categorized into are inscribed in this minor rock edicts. Okay. So, then let us try to categorize what are his messages. Ashokan inscriptions can be categorized into three. One is administrative rules. Second is, ethical guidelines. And the third is personal reflections. So, administrative rule, as I said, in the fourth rock edict, he wanted to replace Beri Gosha with Dhamma Gosha. In the sense, the battle cry, he wanted to do the battle cry and also wanted to conquer the hearts of the people with the Dhamma Gosha or the righteous way of life. Okay. So, he talks about Dhamma Mahamatras, where in order to uphold the practice of Dhamma and to also avoid and interfere if there is any kind of a sectarian conflicts, in order to keep tolerance among the various religious sects. So, Dhamma Mahamatras were recruited, and he also talks about certain practices of present reforms and the ban on animal sacrifices. So all his principles, so the administrative rules is mentioned, majority of them can be categorized into administrative rules. Then he talks about the ethical guidelines like respect your father and mother, stop sacrificing, stoppage on the sacrifice of various animals, for ritual and ritualistic purpose, and even he mentions about the stoppage of sacrificing animals in his own personal kitchen. Then rest houses for those who are taking the pilgrimages when there is a famine. How do you do that? How do you give support to them? On all those ethical guidelines, tolerance among various sects. So all those and his lineage and his lenience towards Dhamma are especially found in the personal reflections. Okay. So if you look at each one of them, when we take up the topic on the chapter on Ashoka, we will look at each one of those edicts. What are the major rock edicts which are located here, which we have already seen? So, what does it each signify? Especially the rock edict 1 talks about the stoppage of the animals sacrifices for ritualistic purposes. Especially then fourth is about the replacing it with Berigosha with Dhamagosha. Especially rock edict 13 talks about his Ashokan remorse or penance or the pratyasta. So each one of them, let us look at it. Then what in the pillar edicts, what does the pillar edict of Sarnath signifies, or Lumini pillar edict, or the Sanchi pillar edict? All those things we will look at one by one in the chapter that we take up, because this chapter is very important, because this topic is very important, because majority of the questions on map 1, especially the history optional, they'll ask from this inscriptions. And also there are many prelims questions which they have been asking in the last 10 years on Ashokan inscriptions, their locations, their script, etc. So we'll take it up. Thank you.